Hi, I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. How do you know if your Forex trading plan or methodology or whatever it is that you're using actually works? It's actually valid. How do you know that? I find in talking with people and just hearing comments or looking at the comments on some of the videos that are out there, and that there's a lot of folks that have a skewed view of how they're interpreting the information that they're being provided, or not so much that they're being provided, but more that they're consuming, as to what we need to do as traders in the Forex market. Everybody's got an opinion until they get punched in the face, right? As Mike Tyson would say. It's difficult to separate. Well, I don't think there's many people out there that we're coming in contact with in video land, or certainly not any books or anything, but in video land where a lot of us are consuming information and getting our information and education from. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are knowingly trying to defraud us. Not like the millionaire Forex trader guy that, he was just a complete fraud. Everybody thinks that what they're doing is based on somebody's sound ideas. And those people are basing what they're doing on somebody else's ideas. And so where do you get to the point where someone says, well, let's look at this thing from just a really basic, open canvas. Let's just take everything off the table and reset it to see if it makes sense. Why is the knife on the right-hand side when we set a dinner table setting? So there's a reason for that. It goes all the way back to ancient times. But if we don't know that, then we're just setting the knife on the right-hand side because our mom did it and our grandmother did it, and so we'll do it. But somewhere along the line, if somebody just had some wild-ass idea to do something, and you're propagating that all the way through, a certain percentage of people will be able to make that thing work. Most of the people will fail, but it's the people who make it work that continue to propagate it to other people who want to believe that. Maybe because it's easy. It's like the stupid Fibonacci levels that so many people use in trading. They have absolutely nothing to do with price action, order flow, trading. They just don't. And yet mystically they seem to match up after the fact with terminal movements of price. Well, I could stand here in my kitchen and pitch pennies backwards over my head, and a certain percentage of them are going to land on the shelf on the window up there. This is a very narrow shelf. It's only about this narrow. But if I continue to pitch pennies backwards over my head, a certain percentage of them are going to land up there. And so I could say, I know how to pitch pennies. But is that a true statement? But you're watching me do it. But are we looking at the statistics of reality of what's going on? And are we able to separate out one person who says, yeah, I make $10,000 a day and you can too? Well, yeah, if you're trading at 500 to 1 and you got $40,000 account or a $30,000 account, you make 3 pips and you make $20,000. Yeah, you could do that. But what's the basis for the information that's being transferred to us that we're going to invest our time and our money with to provide an income? What's the basis of that information? So I guess my concern in doing this video is, I was having an email discussion with one of my students the other day, discussing the transition point in my own trading experience where I lost $40,000 of a $45,000 account. This is the first large account that I had funded. And that was prefaced by 5 years of demo trading and academic interest and study in the Forex market, and doing a couple of live, couple of mini accounts, running them to the ground, and then taking another 3 years to get more education. And then I loaded up my account with $45,000, and in 4 months, $40,000 of it was gone. Now, I'm not stupid. And I had to step back from the thing, look at all the information that I consumed, all these books and all this. People were making what they were saying work, but there were so few of them that are doing that in relationship to the large number of people that are trying to do it, that the education is, number one, not good in transferring that information down, which means that they don't know how to teach, or they don't know what they're doing, but they're still a penny that's pitched backwards over my head and lands successfully on the shelf. I don't know. And I didn't know then until I backed off from it. And I looked logically at this thing, and I said, no one out there that I've seen is presenting the information the correct way to solve this problem. I had been solving the wrong problem. I discovered that immediately. I've been solving the problem everybody else on video land and is telling me that I need to solve. That wasn't the problem in Forex trading. How do I know? It's because I had a 33-year career as a senior software engineer, where that's what we do, is we take very, very complex systems and user requirements and coalesce them all together into a logical, sequential, and ordered solution set. Solve that problem. And I've got a bachelor's in physics and almost a minor in math, so I know how to think logically and put things together. I'm used to looking at complex things. And I didn't look at the Forex market the right way, because when I went into history class and the teacher told me something, that was the way it was. I go into mathematics class and they say, this Taylor series expansion is going to be used to do blah, 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 blah. And I used it, and it turned out to be true. So what I'm being told in all of my educational background has been true. But not in this market, not with these people. Not with these people that are just statistical anomalies that really don't understand what they're doing, number one, or number two, they simply don't know how to convey their information out to us. So I threw it all away. And in 15 minutes, not only determined what I was doing wrong by solving the wrong problem, I identified what that problem was, and I created what I call the life cycle of a currency position, which is the solution of that major problem I'm trying to solve, which is that of a position from its entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. And I wrote those 3 phases down. It was on a piece of paper. And I said, I need a rule for each one of those, because they're it's a discrete problem. So I should be able to write one rule. And the way I was taught to write rules are condition-based rules, solving the problems of what, how, and when. And to put those conditions into sequential order. And I did it. I roughed it all out. And that was in 2018 or 19 or something like that. And I've used those rules ever since. And I took those rules to take my remaining $5,000 that was in that account, right? And I've just about doubled that in 4.5 months. And I threw another $10,000 into the account and traded that for a while, and threw another 50 in and traded that, and that's the way it goes. Now, it isn't that I haven't suffered major losses before. If you've watched my journey through the videos, I've lost significant amounts of money, but not because I'm working on the wrong rules, or I'm stupid, or I'm statistically just been lucky making 6 figures sometimes, and then losing a huge portion of huge number, six-figure number, is because they didn't follow the rules. I chose to disregard the rule to my own demise and compounded that by thinking that, oh, price will come back, where one of my rules says price never comes back. It does come back, but just statistically as an anomaly, not because price should come back. So in looking at what you're doing, if you're not having the success that you feel that you should be having, it's not because you're stupid. It's simply because maybe you're trying to solve the wrong problem, or you don't have an organized manner of training in order to look at how you solve a problem like this, to develop a sequential order of events that you execute that resolve the problem. If you have questions about that, I've done other videos about it, I've written blog posts about it, but you could send me an email and I'd be happy to chat with you about it. I always respond to serious emails. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I have a course. It's the Fast Track course. It's my base course that I work off of, but I personally consult. It's just not a file that I give you. It's not an online course. I actually take the time to work with a student. So I don't have a lot of time to work with a lot of people, but that's okay. If I can help one or two people, I've done a wonderful service to the world. I'm an educator. I've been teaching martial arts for over 55 years and sharing my knowledge of that. So I know how to educate and teach important stuff. It's simply a matter of the student acknowledging that this is something like learning how to ride a bicycle or jump off a high dive or sail or play guitar. There's a process that you need to go through, not some secret sauce. I want to learn how to play guitar. Tell me the 4 chords I need to know and I'm all set. It doesn't work that way, and you know it doesn't work that way. And yet, there's such a huge number of people that email me thinking that that's the case. And that's not because they're stupid. It's because they don't know. Nobody's ever talked straight to them. There's no magic pill for Forex trading. There's a process. And if you follow the process, you can be successful. I've got the math, the arithmetic that shows that it is possible theoretically. And I follow that math. And when I follow that math, I am successful. When I go, oh, I don't believe that anymore, or I'm having a bad day and I think I'm going to fade the market or something, as my last video was about fading the market, I get whacked. So that's my fault. That's my bad. This has nothing to do with the rules or the way that it should be. I know how to drive a car. You know how to drive a car. And then you read about Bob down the street who was seriously injured because he was drinking and driving and ran into a tree, ran his car off the road and ran into a tree. And you say, driving is dangerous. I can't drive. No, driving isn't dangerous. Bob just didn't follow the rules and acted stupidly. And he paid the price with serious injury, if not death. So I've been able to develop a set of rules that are sequential in order, and they make sense, and they're theoretically sound. And it's simple. The rules are simple. They're not complicated. Man, I could teach a 12-year-old how to trade because it just makes sense. Well, maybe not a 12-year-old. You have to have some understanding of math and how numbers move around and you solve things in order to fully understand the process. But it's really simple stuff. If you're into high school, you can figure that out. And that's how the Fast Track course is organized. It's organized sequentially to build within the student a process. And as they're reading through that process, you read through to a certain point, and then we have a video conference where we get together, or if you're local, I'll get together with you personally. And we discuss that. And if you don't understand it or you don't believe it, well, that's as far as we go until you do understand it, because each section of the course builds a foundation for the next section. And those two sections combined together broaden out the foundation of your knowledge. And then you build on that. And you constantly build on that foundation as you go forward. It's like we're building a skyscraper. We know we're building a skyscraper, so we're not going to just lay down the foundation, as I said in a couple of videos. We're not just going to lay down the foundation for a single family 2,000 square foot house. We need to build a bigger, better, stronger foundation that's not only theoretically sound, but it is sound because it's true. So when we get done with the fast track course, it's a 6-week course. I don't know, some folks can come pretty close to a conclusion on it in 4 weeks. It's really simple stuff, organized well. That's what makes it simple. For such profound information that provides the student, by the end of the 6-week period of time, the roadmap that they need to build their rules around. I'm not saying this is the road we need to go on. That's the road we need to go on. But here's the white line. We don't have to stay right on that white line. I'm going to show you the road. You can go all through the road, but I give you boundary conditions. If you go over here, you're going to be in the gutter on the road, on the swale. So you're going to be in trouble. If you go off the road over here, you're on a different road, you're on a dirt road, you may end up in trouble. And so part of that course is showing you the road and then saying, oh, well, why don't you try this? Take this path. And you come back and say, oh, I just lost, 50 pips. Well, why do you think you lost those 50 pips? Well, because I went off the road. Well, not only did you go off the road, but you had no reason to go off the road other than you're just not paying attention. So that builds trust and confidence in the process that you build, not that I build. I don't build the plan for you. All I do is say, this is the road. These are the boundary conditions. This is what you need to learn. And you don't need to learn any of this other stuff. You don't need to learn about Bollinger Bands or fundamental analysis or what the NFP is going to do or any of that stuff. We need to learn about price action and order flow. And the foundation of that is trading itself. What is trading? What are you trying to do as a trader? What are the problems that you're trying to solve? And let's take those problems, clearly identify them, write a rule for it. What kind of rule do you think that you need to write? And, oh, by the way, what you're telling me doesn't make any sense. You just have stuff. You need sequential conditions that resolve to an end go, no-go decision. It's not analog, it's binary. You're either going to execute the rule or you're not going to execute the rule. It's simple. So by the end of the 6 weeks, you're convinced of all that. But then it becomes your decision as to whether you're going to follow it or not. We could show you how to drive a car. We could show you to stay on the road, give you a road map. We could show you where to put the gas into the tank and all that other kind of stuff. But it's your decision to ride that car down that highway on a 200-mile stretch and not have checked your gas. There's just nothing you can do about that. That doesn't mean the car is bad or the instruction was bad or you're bad. It's the decision that you made that's outside of the boundary conditions that we together have developed in order to provide a plan of action to take you from where you are to where you would like to get to. Where do we want to get to? We'd like to be consistently profitable. Now, that consistent profit may be 1% a month. It may be 20% a month. I've done 1% months. I've done 25% months against risk. So anything is possible. You see these guys doing 300% in weeks. Well, look at what they're doing. They've got 8 or 10 years of experience where they've lost tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But they're trying to teach you about Bollinger Bands and all this other stuff that doesn't make any sense. And they're trading at 500 to 1. They're encouraging you to trade at 500 to 1. Well, you're just going to get your ass wiped out. Well, they've got maybe $1 million and they're risking 30,000 or 40,000 of that because they can buy with a $30,000 account. They can buy, 30 lots, not 30 lots, 50 lots at $400 a pip. Some of these guys are trading at 500 to 1 and leveraging out to $1,000 a pip. $1,000 a pip. So you make 10 pips, you make $10,000. They go, oh, I made $10,000. You can too. No, you can't. If you had $1 million account, you might be able to, but not with your $20,000 account or $30,000 account. And even if they're doing it on a $20,000 or $30,000 account levered up to 500 to 1, they have the skills that you don't have, but they don't know how to teach those skills to you. Because you can't teach somebody the skills of how to do 500 to 1 trading without teaching them how to trade and how to manage their money and understand risk management and trade it like I do at 10 to 1. Oh, I can lose a shit house full of money at 10 to 1. I can't imagine the damage I do at 500 to 1 when I get stupid. At some point, that leverage catches up with you. Every one of the guys that trades at 200 or 500 to 1, eventually they get caught. Only the best of the best guys with 15 or 20 years of trading don't get caught because they've got the discipline to go, I'm out. And they take a bad hit. But they have such a high win-to-loss ratio that it doesn't cripple their account. It's not a planet killer. So you're looking at stuff that's out there that's reasonable, but not reasonable for you. And you're looking at information that's being conveyed out that isn't exactly what they're doing. But how do you know that? How do I know that? I know that because I know the theoretical basis of the whole thing. I know what's possible, and I know how to put complex things together. That comes from my over 50 years of teaching karate. If somebody walks out after dinner some night and gets dragged into an alley, all the shit hits the wall. That training has to have been progressive and solid so that that person doesn't have to think. They just react in the correct manner instead of flailing around. And in trading, in real time, and that price goes 10 or 15 pips against you and you freeze up because you think it's going to come back, it's just not going to happen for you. You need somebody to present this stuff in a logical manner so you don't do a planet-killing, account-killing move. It could take you months, years to develop a large account from a smaller account. But you could wipe the thing out in 3 stupid trades. You really can. 1 trade. How do I know that? I know it from a theoretical standpoint, from doing the math, and I've also done it stupidly myself. And so there are things that you can believe and things that you can choose not to believe. I try to be as upfront and honest with everybody on this video channel. That's why the channel doesn't have a lot of views and not a lot of subscribers, because no one really wants to hear the truth, because the truth scares them, because they're afraid they can't do it. I'm giving you the truth, but I'm also saying that there are solutions to this stuff. It's not mystical. There's some easy, simple to understand, easy principles that if you just start applying today, you can increase the probability of your success by 50%, just like that. When you are looking at how someone is showing you what they're going to be teaching you, ask yourself if that is a process or it's just a bunch of stuff. If it's a bunch of stuff, it's going to be really complicated for you to figure out how to put it all together. In the life cycle of a currency position, I don't teach stuff. I teach entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. And that's the way you do it from a theoretical standpoint, and that's the way you do it from a practical standpoint. And as long as you have the risk management that I teach in the fast track program, but you get the risk management anywhere, because risk management isn't a secret. It's out there for everybody to look at. But if you don't present the risk management in a logical, ordered manner that makes sense, who's going to follow it? So that's what I try to do in Fast Track. Everything's got to be logically presented. And that's one of the questions that I ask a student all the time in our conferences that we have throughout the course. What do you think of that? Do you buy into that? Do you understand that? But if you don't understand it and can't replicate that particular piece of information for yourself, then we need to stop here and we need to go back and find out. In software engineering, we call that iterating back. So the course goes forward a little bit, gets to a certain point, then you back up and you redo what you just did. Then you go forward a little bit, you stop, you back up and you redo, and then go forward again. It's called iterative learning. Programmed learning, you might have been exposed to that. That's sound educational process to build a sound platform for you to be a success at your currency trading, so that if you have enough money in your bank to fund reasonable rules, you can replace your job income. And I can show you how to do that in a reasonable, logical manner. But you have to have the openness of mind after seeing all this stuff that's out there to say to yourself, is what's important in learning how to trade in the Forex market? Is it all the shiny objects, or is it a process? And once you settle on a process, it's very likely that you could probably figure that out for yourself. You send me an email and we chat about it. You say, hey, I got this idea, I got that idea. What do you think? I'd be happy to work with you at no charge for simple questions. Because most of the time, if you're experienced and you've struggled a lot, if you're right thinking and you have some idea of how to put information into practical use, you could say, this is my problem. You can identify the problem. This is what's happening. And I can say, oh, have you thought about this? And you go, well, yeah, but no, try that. And if I can help you for no charge, that's great. But if you're completely scrambled up because of your experience with the educational process that's out there and you don't know how to put those pieces together, well, that's a longer conversation, right? I mean, that would just be the case that we would need to have. And you might want to take a course, or you might want to do some consulting. But if you do it, you don't have to do it with me. And I don't take very many people on because I'm retired. I don't have time to work with a lot of people. I want to spend a lot of time with a few people rather than all of my time with everybody in the world. Because what I teach and the way I teach it just isn't for everybody. That doesn't mean the information is wrong. It just means you don't like me. And that's fine. I'm not going to be somebody I'm not just to try to get your money from you and try to sell you something, okay? That's not my game here. It's to try to help you, because I didn't have any help when I was coming through the ranks and wanted to learn Forex trading, and it was miserable. And it cost me $40,000. Now, it's cost me significantly more in losses beyond that, but I've made, like I said, I've made six figures. And so I just took a particularly really bad slap for doing something really, really, really stupid a couple of years ago, and it just really set things back. So that doesn't bother me. It was my fault. Well, I'm going to get mad or feel sorry for myself? No. Fix it. Just fix it, and you go on. So if any of this stuff interests you, send me an email. As I said, tell me a little bit about yourself so I know where you're coming from, because if you're 24 years old, I might approach what I'm telling you differently than how I might approach a 54-year-old and where they are, because you're at different positions in your life with different financial backgrounds and different knowledge bases. And so those are strengths that we can bring into the training process. So if that makes sense to you, throw me an email. If it doesn't, watch a few more of my videos and see if they help. And then if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And I appreciate those of you who have subscribed and who have watched my videos to the end. There are very few of you. I have a very low retention rate to the end of the videos. That's because I'm trying to educate instead of entertain. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day and have a great trading day.